So session 5 is hosted by Viña Don Melchor, presenting the Sundial Vineyard project and its agroecological management practices. And shortly joining us to present this session is Isabel Mitarakis Guilisasti. She is a winemaker for Viña Don, and her family history is closely tied to the history and development of the Chilean wine industry. Isabel grew up surrounded by vineyards and understood from a young age that making great wine requires deep knowledge of the terroir. As a result of her childhood and surroundings, she decided to study agricultural engineering at the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile, specializing in enology. And Isabel, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to hand over to you so that you can tell us about this unique sundial vineyard project, which I know is starting to result in some really insightful and important information about optimizing viticultural practices to adapt to climate change.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very proud to be part of the member of the Old Vine Conference. So today I want to present our beloved sundial vineyard project. But for put it in context, I'm Isabel Mitarakis, part of the winemaking team of Viña Don Melchor. I work with Enrique Tirado since 2013. So he's the CEO and the technical director of Viña Don Melchor. So now I'm gonna put it in context, and I'm gonna give you a brief introduction of who we are. I'm gonna share my screen. Please, Sarah, could you allow me to share the sound because I have a video in my PPT?
Yes, sure. I think Belinda will set that up. Just 1 second, let me just quickly message her. I don't have access to the permissions, just 1 second.
Sorry for that, but I have to share.
Belinda said that should be working now.
Yeah, okay, but so I'm start to say that we are located in Chile. So after that, I'm gonna show you a map of who we are located in a small appellation that called Puente Alto. So let me know if you can share the sound.
That should be permitted now. This is always a tense moment when you're trying to get the technology to work.
Yeah, I'm not allowed yet.
Oh.
Sorry, the audience waiting for that, but we need the video to show our sundial vineyard. So it's very important for us.
Okay, hang on just 1 moment. Please give us your patience while we handle this small technical hitch. Okay.
But I can start, and if you can share the sound, I can continue after. When we have the video, I can share the. Yeah, it's much.
Yes, I'll let you do that. Just bear with me while I send some frantic messages to Belinda.
Yeah, when we arrive for the sundial is better.
Okay.
We can share the sound.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I said before, we are located in Chile in a small appellation that's called Puente Alto. So it's a very renowned place for producing high-end Cabernet Sauvignon. Yeah, so before I start, I want to talk about the legacy and the knowledge and of the excellence of Viña Don Melchor. To put it in context for different milestones, everything started at the end of the 19th century in Chile. In Chile, we have at that time only the varieties that the Spanish colony brought to Chile. So we doesn't have the Bordeaux varieties. So at the end of the 19th centuries, we have it in Chile, as Adriana Catena said yesterday, in 1840s, we have the first vines coming from Bordeaux in Santiago. So after that, we start to plant the Bordeaux varieties in the Maipo Valley. So for us, Viña Concitoro founded in 1883. 100 years of that is now is very unique because Concitoro wants to make a iconic wine coming from Puente Alto, from the vineyards of Puente Alto. But before that, we need to understand if we have the special terroir for doing a very special Cabernet Sauvignon. So Rafael Guilisasti, he's my uncle. I'm of the third part of the family of Concitoro. And the winemaker at that time gets from Gerdorf, traveled to France, and brought the travel to France and show to Émile Penot the Cabernet Sauvignon that we produce in Chile. We need to understand what happened with our terroir. So he said, you have a fantastic terroir, you have to work on that. So he said to Jacques Boissonneau, his disciple, to work with Concitoro to make him a unique Cabernet Sauvignon. So we launched the first vintage, that is 1987, the first vintage of Don Melchor. Don Melchor was the father founding of the iconic wines in Chile. Another thing that is very relevant in the history of Don Melchor is in 1996, Baroness Philippine de Rothschild wants to make the same that her father did with Mondavi, and she is looking for something special in Chile. So she traveled to Chile and finds something unique to create a project with the Baron Philippe de Rothschild family and a Chile winery. And she fell in love with Don Melchor. She loves Don Melchor, and after that, here in the picture, you can see Baroness Philippine de Rothschild and my grandfather making the joint venture of the Alma Viva project. That is very important for understand that our terroir is very unique. So another milestone that is important, Enrique Tirao, today he is the CEO of Don Melchor, became the winemaker from Don Melchor in 1997. And also in this time, he started to divide the vineyard. That is very important for understand our project after. And in 2018, we planted the Sundial Vineyard project. Today, we are talking about that. So that is our project that we are gonna comment today. And before I start that, I'm gonna talk about the terroir of Puente Alto. Why it's very unique. We know that we have in our hand a very precious treasure that to have to preserve every year, every day. So we have to work on that. So Don Melchor Vineyard, it's located in Puente Alto, a very small appellation. Here you can see that in the appellation compares to hectares from Chile. Chile has 1,000 hectares, but Puente Alto is a very small appellation located at the foot of the Andes Mountain in the north bank of the Maipo River. So 600 meters above the sea level, it's like 2,000 feet. So you can see it's a very small appellation, and we are located here in display with 125 hectares, producing a very good Cabernet Sauvignon. So in terms of soil profile, it's a very ancient soil formed million years ago. To put it in context, there was an alluvial, so all the volcanic and this material carried down by the Maipo River and start to deposit in different terraces. The Puente Alto Vineyard is located in the third terrace of the Maipo, is the oldest one. So we can find a great diversity in terms of soil, and also is a very poor soil in terms of nutrients. So it's very good for the Cabernet Sauvignon. In terms of climate, as I said before, the Andes mountain is the strong influence that we have in this terroir. We can see that we have a cold nights during the summer and the harvest period that is very important for the maturity of the grapes. All the rainfall is concentrated in the winter, and in the spring and summer we have a very drier that. So that's very unique for producing a high-end Cabernet Sauvignon. In terms of the variety, we can see that we have 125 hectares of the vineyard. It's mainly planted by Cabernet Sauvignon. So for us, the Cabernet Sauvignon is the main variety. We have 93% of Cabernet Sauvignon. And all this material that I said before, coming from a muscle selection, pre-phylloxera, old vines coming from France at the end of the 19th centuries. So here you can see an overview of the vineyard. But today, the thing is, today we are talking about the old vines. So as you can see here, 55% of our vineyard is planted in between 1979 and 1987. So because of that, we have to preserve our vines in order to create and continue working on this legacy for the future generations. So you can see here the vineyard, the division of the varieties. As I said before, 93% is Cabernet Sauvignon. And another thing is important, it's 100% muscle selection pre-phylloxera material, and 80% of the vineyard it's planted unrooted. In Chile is one of a few countries in the world that doesn't have phylloxera in the history. So for us, it's very special, our vine DNA. So because of that, we have to, as I said, preserve this legacy. And to talk about our old vines and to talk about the history behind, in 1840 arrives the first Bordeaux varieties to the Quinta Normal. So we have the material that coming from France. 100 years of that time, in 1968, Viña Conchitoro bought Tocornal, today known as Don Melchor Vineyard. And in 1979, we have the last renewal of the vineyard and grafted Cabernet Sauvignon muscle selection pre-phylloxera. And it's important that because Enrique also in 1997, he started to make the division of the parcel. But you can see in 2004, we make a study and start to identify 3,000 plants to preserve the Don Melchor muscle selection. So we separate 3,000 plants and start to taking care about this muscle selection and this vine DNA. Today, and we started in 2013, we start planted with those muscle selection. Today we have 15% of our vineyard planted coming from those vines. In 2018, we planted the sundial vineyard project that we are gonna talk in today. And another thing that is very important, in 2022, after the study of the sundial, we planted 7.1 hectares of a new block using the data of the sundial vineyard project. And how we are protecting our old vines? We know that we have a very unique treasure. We have a very jewel in our hands. So we use like 3 different initiatives for protecting these our old vines. I'm gonna talking about the three initiatives. The first one is the parcel and micromanagement that we make in our vineyard. The second one is the sundial vineyard project, and the third one is how we manage in terms of agroecological management. First of all, I'm gonna talking about the parcel and micromanagement. We divided the vineyard in 7 different parcels. So when Enrique started this division in 1997, he used 3 different factors for make that division. The first factor, as you can see here, is the soil. So we can see that we can find different combination of soil, different, because we are in a one terroir, but we can see we have in one, this is a thesis of Pedro Parra. So you can see that we can find, for example, more gravels in one profile, less gravels. So at the end, we can find different combination of soil at the same terroir. The second one is the Cabernet Sauvignon, of course, the variety. We need to understand how is the expression of the Cabernet Sauvignon. Also, we have different age of the vines. So as I said before, 55% is we planted in 1979. And the last one, and it's very relevant here, because we make wine, so is the wine, the expression behind the wine. So we have 7 different parcels. Here you can see the first mapping of Enrique, divided the vineyard and the different expression. This is a resume of the parcels. So each parcel for us express a unique identity. So each parcel, we manage each parcel depending of the expression of the vines of the vineyard. So at the end, Don Melchor is gonna be a blend of different parcels. But we want to put it more complexity in our winemaking process. So we subdivided the vineyard in 151 micro parcels. So we vinify this vineyard completely separate. So at the end, we make a huge blend of different parcels. So we understand a lot our terroir. And now that the thing that we are convoked today is the sundial vineyard project, and how this project help us to protect and preserve the vineyard. First of all, I'm going to explain that we make this project along with our research center. Everything is a muscle selection and grafted. And now I'm going to show you a video. So the video is explained by Enrique. He is going to explain very well detailed the innovative project of the sundial. I'm going to stop to share and put it again, Sarah, to...
Hi, yeah.
Oh, you have the video?
I'm going to share the video. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to share the video direct from YouTube. Okay, so
okay, perfect.
This hopefully this will work. Can you hear the volume?
No.
Hang on. Share sound.
Este proyecto del viñedo solar Don Melchor.
Now yes.
2018 cuando lo plantamos, después de varios años de buscar la mejor relación entre la orientación de la mejor expresión de este terroir. Es 100% Cabernet Sauvignon de la selección masal de Don Melchor y es franco. Por lo tanto, es el mismo viñedo que tenemos en el viñedo antiguo Don Melchor en este viñedo solar. Este viñedo está plantado en una disposición radial. Cada 6 grados hay una hilera distinta, por lo tanto tenemos 60 hileras. Cada hilera cuenta con 15 plantas. Por lo tanto tenemos un experimento de orientación y a la vez hay una experimentación de distancia entre las plantas, ya que en el centro las plantas están más juntas, están a 50 centímetros y en el exterior están a 2 metros de distancia. En este proyecto estamos captando mucha información. Información del viñedo, posteriormente información de los racimos. En la primera etapa, en el viñedo, medimos su relación con el clima, su relación con el sol, la radiación, la fotosíntesis, su relación con el suelo, temperatura a nivel del viñedo, temperatura a nivel de la microzona de los racimos. Toda esa data bioclimática nos va a permitir lograr una gran calidad y conocer mejor cuál es la disposición, cuál es la mejor relación con el clima, cuál es la mejor relación con el suelo. Desde el punto de vista de la fruta de los racimos, a nivel de compuestos fenólicos, olores, sabores, taninos, texturas, a nivel de constitución de la uva, como el pH, la acidez, el contenido de azúcar, es decir, mucha y variada información que finalmente nos va a permitir conocer más de este terroir y encontrar la mejor calidad de este viñedo. Si bien es cierto, en el equipo de Don Melchor hemos estado preocupados del uso eficiente del agua hace más de 20 años, pero sin duda la información que estamos obteniendo en este viñedo solar nos permitirá en el futuro un mayor y mejor uso eficiente del agua, su relación con las plantas, su relación con la densidad de las plantas y la orientación de estas. Nos permitirá incluir en nuestro viñedo medidas para superar los retos planteados por un clima más variable y cambiante. A su vez, nos ayudará a ver la manera de potenciar la biodiversidad circundante a las parras y su relación particular con el suelo de cada parcela, contribuyendo esto a promover la vida en el suelo y la salud del viñedo, entre otros datos valiosos. Detrás de este viñedo solar tenemos dos grandes objetivos. Uno es la mirada hacia el futuro, las futuras plantaciones de Don Melchor. Y el segundo objetivo es el manejo actual del viñedo antiguo de Don Melchor. De esta manera, como equipo de Don Melchor, buscamos permanecer a la vanguardia con un objetivo muy claro, que es alcanzar la excelencia en todo aquello que emprendemos.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for showing the video. So I'm continue sharing my screen. So here you can see the details of our sundial vineyard. As you said you can see in the video, everything, we measure everything. So now I'm gonna talk about the different information in terms of the study behind. So with the research center, we study the impact of the angle and the plant density in the Cabernet Sauvignon to face a climate change scenario. So we just started with the measures. So we have some data behind the to understand what happened with the orientation and the density, but I have to say that we have to continue a study on that because it's not a stop now. So we start study the vineyard. So we are continue increase the data for understand more and more and more. So for understand the first table in the indicator in terms of light and temperatures, so you can see here. So you can see here is we measure the photosynthetically active radiation, also the infrared radiation, and also the hours, the temperatures, the hours above 35 degrees Celsius. So it's very important to understand that we need more shade. It's better for the vineyard. And in terms of temperature, we have to avoid the extreme temperatures. As you can see here, in terms of angle, we can see that the angle K and the angle E, they're a very good exposure for the vines. In terms of the characterization of the plants, here in this case, we have different measures. Also, again, with the photosynthetically active radiation, the infrared radiation. But here in this case, we measure that in the cluster zone. So and 3 hours after the zenith. The zenith is when you have the sun in the high top position. So we also we measure the conductance, the stomatal conductance, and the chlorophyll concentration. So if we talk about the first graphic, in this case, when we measure the par and the cluster, so for us it's very important, or for the measure, we're looking for the place when we have a more dark color, and the dark represent more shadow. So as you can see here, we can see the angle E and the angle J. They are very good in those conditions if you compare with the other side of the sundial. In terms of temperatures, we measure here in this case temperatures between 24 and 34 degrees Celsius. Of course, we are gonna avoid the extreme temperatures. So as you see here, again, the angle E and the angle J, this part of the sundial represent less temperature, that it's better, more than the parts that you can see very, very red, high red, that it's with the high temperatures. In terms of stomatal conductance, in this case, we also can see the information of the state of the crop in terms of health of the plant, the water status, and talk about the dehydration. So we have to avoid that. It's important to see in which part of the sundial, or depends of the angle and depends of the plant density, we can find less dehydration in the sorry for my English, the word is difficult to say. Dehydration. It's for us, for the winemakers and the viticultures, we know that the hydration it's something that we don't want it in the vineyard. So we can see we need to find a balance in this case. And in terms of the chlorophyll, we're looking for more concentration to promote the compound, the phenol compound. So we can see here, this is compare the angle and the density, but in this case, we compare the different exposure of the row. And in this case, is the difference between the two exposure. So in terms of result, I can say that we are continue working on that. Now we are start measure in between the angle B and the angle K. So we're gonna continue working on this part of in this area of the sundial, but it's something that it's ongoing every day to working, because we just started in 2013. So it's very new, the data that we have. And the last initiative that is very important, and yesterday they talked about the practice, the regenerative practice. So for us, it's very important to manage the vineyard in the agroecological way, for promoting and the proliferation of the vineyard, of the biodiversity of the vines, because it's important to promote the life in our soil. So we have to keep it that, and we need to promote that for future generation, and to preserve our legacy that coming from the old vines. So that is very important why we are working on these practices. So at the end, we are coming back for the origin to working on that. How we do that? First of all, we planting a biological corridor in the vineyard. We using a fertility of soil, using the cover crops in between the rows. And for us, it's very important that also helps for the capture carbon. So everything that helps us to keep it and preserve the vineyard. So as like a resume, and I want to say that for us it's very important to work and in a meticulous care of the 151 plots along with the sundial vineyard to understand the orientation and the plant density for enhance the quality of the cluster because we can use that data for using in our old vines with the agroecological approach to preserve all this yield. At the end is for create a exceptional wine that is Don Melchor, and we want to make that to tell our story for many, many more years, respecting the environmental and adapting, of course, for the climate change. So this is a summary. At the end, we make this beautiful wine behind all this project.
Thank you, Isabel, for that really excellent and comprehensive and very fluent presentation. I have a couple of questions, if that's okay. How do the ungrafted Massal selection Cabernet Sauvignon vines really contribute to the information that you get from this project? Why did you decide to work with that selection of vines when setting up the sundial?
Because we make this project in Don Melchor, so for us Don Melchor is the Cabernet Sauvignon. So we know that we have in the vineyard we have those old vines planted in 1979, and for us we know that the place for the Cabernet Sauvignon is Puente Alto, so we work on this material. And we have the master selection of Don Melchor. So as I said, we have the study of separate and identify the 3,000 plants. And because of that, we need to understand, and Enrique have to continue promoting or understand the information behind this master selection material. So
Yes.
that's the goal behind the sundial. I don't know if I answered.
So as well as using the sundial to really optimize your resilience in fine-tuning the viticulture and being ready for climate change, are you also using it to really understand the nuance of the Massal material that you're working with in the Don Melchor vineyard? So it allows you to sort of even get to know it better. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, of course, because we not only measure, we measure more than the orientation, the chlorophyll. We also measure as Enrique said in the video, we measure the tannins, the anthocyans, the volume of the grapes, we measure a lot. So all this data we can understand, and with the research center, we have the material, the DNA of the vine in the research center. So we are working with them working with the sundial to understand which is the best orientation and plant density for producing the excellent wines and the high-end quality. But also we study in the research centers the DNA of the material. It's there is two ways, but we are working with them. The sundial, it's like more to understand in the vineyard, but they study the DNA behind the material that we have of the Melchor. So they have the plants in the laboratory. They see the DNA and everything. So we do it together.
Fantastic. And do you anticipate that when you need to replace a vine, for example, or perhaps to plant a new vineyard, that you will use the nursery material from these Massal selections to sort of optimize the success of future plantings? Is that
Yeah,
all?
in 2013, we start planting with our massa selection. So today, all the vineyard or the new blocks that we planted in Don Melchor, we have the massa selection of Don Melchor that coming from the 3,000 vines identified before.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is in 2022, we planted a new block with a new orientation, with the data of the sundial. So we have 7.1 hectares of the new orientation in the vineyard planted in the vineyard. So now we are gonna see how we can manage the vineyard in terms of the new blocks. But for us, it's more important because we are not gonna take out the old vines. So we have to preserve the old vines. So the
Yes.
data of the sundial, it's very important for protecting the old vines that we planted, because we need, at the end, we need a very live planted with a very good crop, with a very good yield. So we need to keep it, the soil, we need to keep it, we need to put all the scenario or the good scenario for protect these vines for many, many more years. So we need to understand in the data of the sundial, but how we can protect and how we can use that information in our old vineyard. That is our goal.
Yes. Thank you. I have a couple of questions. So from Etienne Niesling, he says, extremely interesting experimental design showing adaptation is a combination of solutions and not just one. My question is, how do you know the behavior of one genotype to another, as they don't have the same orientation or density? Therefore, not sure what is the genotype or what is the environment.
Ah,
Yeah. That's geek to geek question.
yeah, but yeah, but at the end we have the of course each vine it's because coming from massa selection, we know that each plant is completely different one of each other. But for us, it's like a coming from the at the end is a material that coming from the mother are the 3,000 vines. So today we have a plant like a coming from a, it's of course not a clone because all the vines are different, but we know have the similar or the high-end quality behind. But of course we have the difference in between the vines because it's a material, a massa selection. It's not a clonal. So
Yes.
yeah, we have to know that in terms of, but it's a tricky question. Yeah, we need to put more information in all the data at the end. Because of that, we start studying that.
Yes. Excellent. And
Thank you for the question, but we have to
yes,
take care of that.
you could always, but look, we look forward to hearing about the ongoing development and expansion of these researches. So Dean Lepan asks, do you know what clones were originally planted? And with your genetic research, have you seen any genetic changes that have occurred over time?
In terms of the genetic material,
I think so, yes. So when the vineyard was first planted, the material with which it was first planted, were there any clonal selections, or was it all massal selection?
no, was all massa selection. Yeah, was all massa selection coming from the vines that I said that coming to Quinta Normal, the Pre-phylloxera vines from Bordeaux. All those vines are massa selection. We don't have a clone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And a question from Mariana Martinez. In the Don Melchor vineyard, you began to plant again ungrafted vines because you realized that they develop better. What did you observe, and are you studying it?
Yeah, the sundial is completely ungrafted. So for us, we believe in the ungrafted, in the Piefranco. We believe on that. Of course, because of the phylloxera, we have to be careful of that. But for us, the ungrafted in terms of in Maipo, in Puente Alto, it's grown better than the grafted. Yeah, because for example, you have some in Maipo, you have a very high sodium. So for the ungrafted vines, doesn't happen anything in terms of that. So we know that the ungrafted is the way for planted.
Yeah.
And we hope never have the phylloxera in Chile. So we believe on that, and we're working to plant it ungrafted. Because of that, we have 80% of our vineyard with ungrafted vines.
And do you favor ungrafted vines because of the impact on vine physiology, or because of an impact you observe on fruit composition and quality and wine quality, or is it a combination of factors?
It's a combination of both factors.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes, it's very interesting. Even in these 2 days, we've heard very different perspectives on approaches to rootstocks, as with many other aspects. And as Louisa Rose said earlier, it's actually a positive thing that we can sustain so many diverse perspectives. I've got one last question, which is how this project sits within the context of Concha y Toro's Research and Innovation Center, which I know is a center of significant leadership in knowledge for the Chilean wine industry. Are there other projects that you're aware of going on at that research center, which also are looking at perhaps old vine adaptation, epigenetic adaptation? Do you communicate, do you share information across different research projects being undertaken at the research center?
Yeah, yes, because this project as all the information that we have it, we work with the research center. So all the all the data and everything, it's a project that we work with them. So at the end, they give the information after when we finish the study or something. They show the different, like as I showed today, the different information. This is something that the research center also shows the data and the information of the results. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, Isabel, thank you for joining us. And also I'd like to thank you for your support of the Old Vine Conference. I think it shows the impact, the powerful impact of having a really important large producer embrace and promote the value of this aspect of wine and vine heritage. So thank you not just for joining us and for your support, but also for this important work that you're doing for the future of the industry as well. So it's time to conclude this year's Old Vine Conference. It's very clear that old vines are not just a symbol of heritage, but really a very important part of our industry's future. So the passion and the knowledge that we've had shared here today and yesterday really demonstrate the immense value and power these vines hold culturally, economically, and environmentally. I always think of the old vine lens as acting like a bit of a muse. It really inspires the best of wine, not without its challenges, but still, I think that looking at wine through this way is incredibly powerful and also unifying. And I think you've been able to see that just from some of the connections that have happened as we've been conducting our sessions over the last couple of days. So I think that this exchange does help to shape the approach to the future of viticulture and wine. Old vines are a living link to our past, but they also represent the resilience, innovation, sustainability, and adaptability that we need to move forward. So thank you for honouring this legacy and these vines and this knowledge and wisdom through your support and through your interest and connections and questions. So we would love it if we could call on you to carry today's energy and momentum forward. How can you help? Well, spread the word. Please do share what you've learned today, any interesting topics or angles that you've learned. If you're a writer, if you want to post, please do share them. And you can tag us on @OurOldVines. Full program is at our website. Please do click through and do some more research on the producers and speakers that we've heard from. And of course, you can join us at the Old Vine Conference. Our website is oldvines.org. And also don't forget about the Old Vine Registry. So the Old Vine Registry is like a partnership project, but this is the project headed up by Olga Yarrow, which is looking to log old vines around the world and to address some of these issues with records that we know can hold back some of the development of the old vine sector. So I think obviously it's a long journey, but together I think we can ensure the continued recognition and preservation of old vines for the future of wine. So I don't actually have a glass, which I feel is a bit of an error because it's practically the evening here. So, but if I can just say thank you all so much. Thank you to my colleague Belinda Stone and to my co-founders at the Old Vine Conference, Leo Austin and oh my God, I've forgotten his name, Alan. Sorry. And together, and also I'd like to thank all of our speakers, our regional ambassadors, and everyone involved with the Old Vine Conference. Thank you.